It took our company 163 years and 6 generations to build a solid business and a strong reputation. Now we, as an industry, have to implement change so that we can continue to grow and prosper. My name is Timothy Cosulich. I am the CEO of Fratelli Cosulich and EBA Vice Chairman. Fratelli Cosulich was founded in 1857 and is now present in most aspects of shipping, from ship agency to ship owning, freight forwarding, yacht services, and of course, bunker trading and physical supply, where we are present with our own operations in Singapore and in Italy. I would like to thank our friends at Petrospot for organizing this event. At a time in which events cannot happen in person, it is refreshing to see how the passion for our industry and the desire to create connections brings about innovative approaches and still allows us to share ideas. In 2019, Fratelli Cosulich celebrated 50 years in bunkering. And in all these years, we have not seen so many changes happening at the same time. How many of you in 2014 thought that the collapse of OW bunkers would change the industry for good? How many thought that supply licenses would be revoked in Singapore? That big and respected companies like Bright Oil and Egea, just to name two, would get into trouble? And if 6 months I had told you that the largest physical supplier in Singapore would not be there by August, would you have thought that I was hallucinating? Today, I want to talk about how the Singapore market has evolved, where we are today, and what we as an industry have to focus on going forward. I will spare you all the details and the story about how the mass flow meter was made mandatory in Singapore, but it is safe to say that the market certainly changed when that happened, and that it was a positive change. Players who were basing their whole business model on cheating got their license revoked, and transparency in the industry finally increased. We cannot, however, say the same thing about how financing and credit is managed. King Leon supposedly hid hundreds of millions of losses for years. And most recently, rumors about GP Global generated further uncertainty in an already fragile market. Over the past couple of weeks, some big banks like SocGen and ABN AMRO announced that they are exiting commodity trading completely, blaming it on the lack of transparency and the fraud cases that caused them so many losses. So what do we make of this? Well, I see two angles here. If you look at it from the bank's perspective, I feel it is unfortunate that they incurred big losses, and certainly the culprits should bear the consequences. However, I also feel it is not entirely fair to picture the bunker industry as an undesirable one from a financing perspective. Banks themselves should have been more thorough in their due diligence and possibly less driven by their fees. Industry players, on the other hand, are not free from blame either. I continue to see buyers refusing to share their financial statements, and yet demanding suppliers and traders to provide millions of dollars in unsecured credit lines. It is time that we push for increased transparency and higher governance standards across our industry. We cannot continue to hide behind the idea that it is a free market and accept that trades are closed with a $1 margin, and then complain if companies go bankrupt. The Monetary Authority in Singapore is now working on creating a sort of a central database for commodity trading, precisely to avoid more King Leon type of cases. That is a great idea. And I personally think that This project will have a significant impact on the industry. But we all have to play along, and we have to make transparency a priority. My company's name is my last name. I don't want to have to change my last name because our company was hit by a financial scandal. Would you? So pretend that the company you're working for is yours. Take care of it and take care of its reputation. So by now you're probably asking yourself, what am I doing with a bicycle behind my back? Well, one reason is that I have my 2 kids screaming in the living room, so I have to use the guest room for this. But the bike also reminds me of the say that life is it is like riding a bicycle. In order to maintain balance, you have to keep moving. And keep moving is what the Singapore market has done in the past few months. Hin Leong is gone, and the market share of Hin Leong was quite quickly reallocated among some new and some existing players. The Port Authority and some big buyers were concerned about the potential shortage in fuel and barges availability. But to be honest, the supply chain proved once again to be strong and resilient. Even the exit of the largest player was not sufficient to create a real disruption. 2 new and large players were awarded a supply license, and they are now established players in Singapore. Trafigura on one side and Minerva on the other. And this takes me to an important consideration. Singapore remains and will continue to be the largest and most important bunkering hub in the world. Not many other ports would have been able to sustain the shock of the largest player exiting the market in such a seamless way. Our view is that the Singapore market has now achieved a rather healthy balance in terms of barges, terminals, and products. And the commitment of all the key players in the industry is a further testament of the effort the Port Authority has made into this. Singapore continues to be, as Sinatra once described New York. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. I want to leave you today with just one takeaway. We all want a more efficient market. We all want to be able to rely on our counterparts. So be an advocate for better governance and higher transparency in the industry. If you are a supplier, demand that your customers share their financial information with you. And if you are a buyer, do your due diligence on your suppliers so that you make sure that your supply is there. We all want our sector to continue to grow and prosper, but that can only happen if we all play by the same rules and if we all accept the necessary level of scrutiny. Thank you.